Alright, so you're wondering about the legalities of changing the caliber of a pistol and then attempting to sell it.
Yeah. If you have a Glock pistol that is designated as a 9mm, but you're putting a 40 slide on it or vice versa, then what happens when you try to sell it? I mean, if you go through an FFL, does that change the designation of the receiver? Because technically the serial number on the frame or on the lower receiver is the firearm. You can swap upper slides all day long and it's not going to matter.
When I picked up the 24, again because I bought it out of state, I had to use Daryl from Duck to Goons, and he seemed kind of weird about not weird about the paperwork, but what he should put down.
Right.
He's like, I'll put down that it's a Glock Timberwolf 40. And I said, okay, you're the professional, you're the FFL, like you should know what it is that you should classify it as. But it's really interesting because the only thing I ever hear about anybody is doing the conversions themselves. Mm-hmm. Going from a large caliber to a smaller one. But as far as the legalities concerning it, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. Like putting one of those foregrips. Did you want to go and see those TVs that they blew up? You just want to head home?
No, let's just go.
You're tired. You guys didn't get a chance to see it, but somebody lit off at least 2 pounds of tannerite at once. If it was tannerite at all,
I would say at least that.
And it was close by where we were shooting, and made a big bada boom. So, but yeah, I figured that as far as the caliber conversions with the Glocks, it's would I think be we just yeah, I didn't get that on camera. Did you not see that?
No.
Oh, well, neither did we. Hit a whole flock of little birdies. Like, I had the camera down here, so I don't think it saw anything, but jeez. Anyway, you swap the uppers out, or like when it comes to 300 black, just swapping out the barrel.
Right. I understand doing that for your own personal use. I have a 357 SIG barrel I put in my Glock 40, but I just don't know about the legality of it if you're trying to swap it, because if you're trying to get rid of that Timberwolf frame and you put the 9mm slide on there to sell it as a 9mm, it's already registered with or as a 40 caliber.
Mm-hmm.
Does that change the designation, or
with what? Like, what would it change?
Well,
like if I'm going through an FFL, I can see how this could be kind of confusing, but at the same time, it is an aftermarket.
That's
frame.
true.
It's just like buying an aftermarket.
See, I just know the paperwork with the state, they put a designation down, but technically they're not supposed to keep that. So,
well,
ultimately, I guess it shouldn't matter.
I'm not one of those people.
I just don't know what the ATF would think.
There's so many people on Facebook that are adamant about doing personal sales because they don't want to quote unquote like paper trail. And I've done personal sales where people wanted like me to sign a piece of paper with the serial numbers of the firearm and date it and all that stuff. And
when I've sold stuff online, I just make sure it's somebody that's got a concealed carry permit, and then at that point, they're not a felon, they're legal to have a gun, and it's, it makes me feel comfortable that the person I'm selling it to can own a gun. I think that should suffice. I don't need to know any more information than that.
I mean, it's a private transaction. I'm not really sure. Do you think it is a state or federal crime to knowingly sell a firearm, transfer a firearm to a felon?
I would think it is, yeah.
Because I know that they're not supposed to have them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's...
No, I think it can come back on you if you're knowingly giving a felon possession of a gun, knowing they're not supposed to have one. Yeah, that'll come back and bite you.
Well, hey, I have no plans on doing this thing, but...
Just for my protection, I make sure that if I sell a gun, they have a CCW.
Well, the thing about it too is you hear so much about wanting to be careful where you buy used guns, because what if they were used in a crime? We shoot Glocks. Do you think that if I shoot a bullet out of my 40 Glock and you shoot a bullet out of your 40 Glock, and they compare them, that they will notice a difference?
Yeah, they do.
Really?
I mean, in an initial look at it, they could probably tell that it came from a 40 caliber Glock. But when they examine it further, each barrel is going to have different striations, and they'll be able to narrow it down to a specific gun.
Even with the fantastic
I think the state crime lab should be able to, because I mean, the steel is going to be different. It's going to have different grooves, and if you've shot different ammo, the lands and grooves in your barrel could be different than mine. But they can match it up to a specific gun if they have the gun.
Very interesting.
And pretty easily they could narrow it down to what type of gun it was.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you can tell if brass has been fired from a Glock just by looking at the striker indentation. Right. Well, I take that back. Maybe it's because you can tell it hasn't been hit with a hammer, that it's striker fired, because it has that little square. What would you call that?
Dimple.
Yeah, it's not an indentation though. It's like the opposite of it because of the pressures. Anyway, you look at the back of fired brass and you can tell if it's been fired from a.
It is easy to tell.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I don't think we got a chance to put the Timberwolf frame on the 17 to give you a look at. Did you put it on your? No, you don't. You didn't like the frames. You didn't put it on your 22.
No, I did not. I do not like the Timberwolf frame.
You're gonna get so much hate.
I would shoot that Glock 24 slide all day long on my 22 frame, but